Hello there, listeners. This is Alex from Forever Classic Games, and this episode is basically the audio portion of a stream that me and Zach did that kind of wrapped up the end of the year without going into our best games of 2019 accolades, or even the best games of the decade accolades. So consider this more of like an exploratory conversation about 2019 as a year, not only for us as gamers, but for us as fans of, movies or comics or whatever. So we go into a lot of things that we either really enjoyed about 2019 or didn't enjoy about 2019, and I hope you enjoy this conversation. If you want to see these sort of things happen live, as well as some just kind of typical Twitch content, check out our Twitch page, twitch.tv/foreverclassicgames. As always, I hope you have a fantastic day, stay cool, and please enjoy this episode. Let's start with kind of the one thing that was a huge project recently, and that was the playthrough of Metal Gear, I think.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent start.
Right? So kind of let's do a recap of why you really wanted me to play Metal Gear, because this is something we've been talking about for probably 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah, give or take.
Finally sat down and did it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did. And I really wanted you to play it because it's a really interesting adventure from start to finish. Even after you take into consideration the how much back and forthing it has you do, it makes a relatively small area seem really big.
That's true. And that kind of reminds me of Resident Evil is what I was making the first immediate comparison. And I guess because I've been playing Digimon and I've got it on the brain, Digimon World. So they take these smaller environments and do a lot with them and kind of cram them full of just stuff, right? Or revisit those same areas, which I think is kind of a detriment to Metal Gear Solid, at least initially, because you are just kind of going through the same 8 to 10 rooms, but they all feel like they're genuinely connected, and that's interesting. It feels like they're all part of that one facility.
Yeah, no, they definitely do. And I still haven't got to play the new Resident Evil, mostly because house stuff.
Oh boy, Resident Evil 2 is a good daggone game. I love it.
Awesome.
Oh, it's so good. I cannot recommend that one enough. Try to pick it up between probably as soon as you can, because they're only $20 and it's super worth $20. Even if you're lukewarm on that particular style of game, it's just so good. So yeah, I sat down and played all of Metal Gear Solid front to back, and I will have eventually, I don't know, I'm just kind of editing this video for fun at the moment, but I took that massive 12-hour dump of video and started editing it down and just taking out the funny bits or bits that actually had some sort of meaning. And so I'm making this supercut essentially. And I don't know if I'm ever going to release it, but I'm putting it together just for fun, I guess. Maybe I'll make a much smaller version of a supercut that's 20 minutes or something. But so far I've got an hour and a half. And it's pretty interesting to go back and watch. But I did it. I did it in about 12 hours, even though there was that one major hang up, which I should have prepared for. You warned me. You sat down and was like, hey, be aware of this one particular torture scene because you can lose your save. And that's what I did. I was like, nah, I'll be fine. I got tough fingers. Nope.
Yeah, no, and I totally forgot, after you were done to remind you to save.
Yeah.
So I felt really bad.
And I could not get the ketchup bottle to work at all, and I was so frustrated with it. But thankfully, I sat down and found a save file that just unlocked a bunch of stuff. And because of that, I was able to finagle my way into an area that immediately dropped me into that location. And I was like, oh, cool, this is perfect. I sequence broke the game on accident, even though that's entirely what I was intending to do. So not only did I do that like full stream, it's available. Well, it might be available on the Twitch stream. Maybe it isn't. Either way, I might have some sort of archive or something eventually. It's a big file, so we'll see. But I also wrote a giant reflection on that experience, which is a featured post on our website. And that post is super cool. I'm actually really proud of it because it is me coming in as somebody who's like surface level understanding of Kojima. Like I know a lot of the beats, I know a lot of the weird shit, but I'd never like experienced it for myself. And so I did that and wrote about it. And I think it's a fantastic little piece, personally.
No, it's excellent to me, but I'm a super Hideo fan.
Well, yeah. Clearly.
Oh, yeah.
But was there anything in particular that you saw me do that you thought was like weird or something that you didn't expect me to take a particular stance at?
During your playthrough?
Yeah.
I was especially interested in your I'm going to lay down in the middle of the field fighting this tank. He's totally not going to shoot me.
My favorite bit of that fight is when I find the little like vent, like snuck back in there and was looking out. I'm like, I wonder if he can see me, and the fucking tank barrel comes out of the corner and I'm like, uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. He's looking right at me. You took a couple of bullet shots, I believe. I don't think you took a cannon shot.
Yeah, it wasn't a tank round. Like, the gunner on top eventually pinged me. And I was like, okay, he can legitimately hit me here. I gotta bounce.
Yeah.
But that was funny, too. I was like, I wonder if I can stick a C4 on the bottom of it by laying down and letting him drive over me. Because earlier in the game, I was underneath tanks. I was like, oh, this is perfect. Nope. That little bit of problem solving also didn't work.
I've done something and closed all my windows.
Oh, no.
I was going to open up the article.
I also dropped it in the chat, so you can find it there.
Now,
granted,
that's what I was opening up.
I did have to find screenshots from elsewhere online. I couldn't use the ones from my playthrough because I was playing on PS3, and it was just so grainy that I just couldn't get a decent enough screenshot. So all the screenshots that people are seeing are just, like, generic ones that I found online. And that sick artwork by, what's his name? The guy that does all the cool artwork. Shinkawa.
Oh, dude. He has excellent artwork.
Right?
I love it. I'm really sad that, what was it? The Left Behind?
Left Alive.
Left Alive.
Yeah. That game sucks.
Yeah, no. I was really sad to see that because I love his artwork for stuff.
And that was definitely like trying to be a Metal Gear Solid game in the front mission universe. And it just didn't work at all. That's one of the like worst games released this year, I would argue.
Yeah. Yeah, I could get behind that being really bad.
Just on principle. Yeah. God, I've played some real shit games this year. Did I tell you about that VR one I have?
VR one?
Yeah, I don't even remember the name of it. It's a kart racer that's PlayStation VR, and it is atrocious. Like, they sent it to us for review on Marooners Rock, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is abysmal. Dude, actually, we got one from Forever Classic that I thought was terrible. Bee Simulator is a goddamn train wreck.
Bee Simulator was that bad?
Yeah, it sucks. Because in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, this is probably going to be bad. But I hoped, with all my little hopes, that it was going to be close to Buck Bumble, and I want somebody to do a modern-day Buck Bumble. We've talked about this.
We definitely have. And I didn't know anything about Buck Bumble until you told me about it.
Yeah, so Bee Simulator. It's not great. It's like, what if Superman 64 was worse? And
there was a Superman 64?
Oh, God. Oh, I keep forgetting that there's some weird shit that I know that you don't. That is a hilariously bad game that's basically a fly-through ring simulator on the Nintendo 64, and it's bad.
Fly through rings? Ooh.
Like, that's most of the game. And that's the first thing they want you to do in Bee Simulator. They're like, hey, you're a bee. Here's how you be a bee. And I'm like, oh, cool. This looks like butt, but maybe it'll turn into something. And then they're like, fly through these rings. And I'm like, oh, no.
Superman flashbacks.
And then they wanted me to fly through all of the rings within like 30 seconds, and it was a super close time window. And this bee goes from like 0 to 60 in nothing. So it's just the hardest thing to control ever. Like it definitely falls under one of the worst releases of this year. I still kind of hope that they go back and fix it because the like artwork and stuff that they have in the game that tells the story is actually really cute. And it's all about bees. And they like take a pro bee stance throughout the entire thing. It's like really educational, but also kind of like stupid and fantasy driven. So I want it to be good, but it's not.
Yeah.
Bee Simulator. But we've gotten... that's probably my favorite thing about this year, Zach, is we've done some really cool things for Forever Classic. We have. not only have we had like super good guests, but we've got a couple pieces of support from developers by getting a review copy or coming to chat with us and doing some interviews and stuff. So it's been really, really cool.
No, I feel like we've done some really good just groundwork for everything. We laid it, the first year we were trying to do anything with the podcast. Then we've hit the ground running with the website and stuff. And I think we've got ourselves into a really good position.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't think I'm going to have any other absolutely insane shit going on. So I'll be able to like sit down and focus more myself again. Now that I have this house and we're here.
Yeah, you guys have moved, so that's cool. And then hopefully within a year or two, I'll be back stateside. So that would be great.
True.
But yeah, so we've really like laid down the foundation for Forever Classic, especially on the website. And that's what I appreciate most about it.
I'm just excited to do more.
Yeah, me too.
I
wish I had more time.
So much potential. Yeah, no, I do too. I have so much different things going on with work, so.
Yeah, me too. Like constant. I was learning new things at the office because they're like, oh, we've completed most of the work that was needed to be. And I was like, okay. And they're like, so there's not much left for you to do. I'm like, cool. And they're like, but if we teach you this new thing, you've got all sorts of things to do. I'm like, oh, great. That's what happens. Me and my team end up like getting taught something new. We completely decimate it in like a month. And then they're like, well, shit, we got to find more things for you to do.
Filling up one set of things just to be given a whole nother slew to go on top of it.
Yeah, so I am really proud of our website, personally. I would love to do more for it because there's a lot of things that, like, I'll be browsing the internet and be like, oh, I could write an article on that. And then by the time I get home, I'm like, well, I need to, like, do this and that and maybe spend more time studying for a review or, you know, there's a lot of bigger pieces that I've been kind of focusing on.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just stretched thin.
Yeah, no, samesies.
So we're not doing as much as we would normally like to, but we're poised to do a whole lot.
Yeah. I don't know about you, dude, but I'm tired.
I am too.
It's winter. It's dark as hell out here, and as soon as I leave the house, it's dark. I come back and it's dark, and it just sucks.
So, are you into your really long period of dark there in Alaska?
We're on the tail end of it, so it goes up until the solstice is your darkest day, right? And now every day from here on out, we get an extra, like, couple minutes of sunshine or something.
Gotcha.
So we're coming out of it. And it hasn't snowed that bad yet, which is great for me, because I hate the snow. But it has been snowing on the mountains, so great for the skiing folks. It's a win-win in my book.
Yeah, no, those are good wins to have.
Yeah. Dude, the other thing that I want to challenge people out there, because I spent a long time cross-referencing some stuff to make this happen. We recently put out a feature of every single Shovel Knight guest that we could find, and then concluded on why there are, in fact, so many. Because I talked to one of the main designers, Alec Faulkner, while I was at PAX West, and I was like, well, why? Why are there so many different iterations of Shovel Knight? Do you guys just say yes to everybody? Like, what happens here? And he goes, well, you know, we kind of designed it so he would fit anywhere in doing any things, and we always kind of wanted to see that. And so when people started requesting it, as long as it was a good idea, we were usually cool with it. So he told me that they get like at least 1 or 2 requests for Shovel Knight to be in something once or twice a week.
That's pretty excellent. Can we have a Shovel Knight mod as your main character for Stardew Valley then, now that there's multiplayer?
I would bet dollars to donuts that exists.
Because it just seems like a good fit.
I bet you it exists for that other game that they have, Starbound.
You know what? I'll bet it definitely exists for Starbound. I fucking love Starbound.
Right? That game is too good for me, personally, because I can spend months on it and not get anything done.
Same. It's like Terraria, but infinite.
There's a Stardew Valley weed mod. So that's an option.
Work on your pot growing skills.
Yeah.
Specifically to go have better relationships with your neighbors.
Yeah.
We'll assume it all just goes hand in hand.
Yeah, Shovel Knight is crazy. The fact that, like, he got to be such a popular character. All of those characters are stupid popular now.
They are, no. And I don't even know about half of them. Like, I don't understand, like, the Plague Knight or the King Knight. And they're playable characters, I guess.
Yes, so there are...
I'm not that far into it yet, so...
Let me give you the lowdown. Shovel Knight started as an indie project that really caught fire on Kickstarter and freaking exploded when the Game Grumps played it and had a blast. Great episodes. They've played that game through, I think, 3 or 4 times now on their channel, and it's super popular every time. However, Shovel Knight got a lot of Kickstarter support, and in that Kickstarter, they're like, oh, if we reach this amount of money, we're going to add another character campaign. And so at the time, and I talked to them about this, they were like, we thought that it was just going to be, we replace a sprite, and maybe you get some new powers, and you play through the same levels. And then they got to be kind of ambitious about it, and so they started creating whole new campaigns, and that, like, really was successful in Plague Knight. Around the time that became free, all these are free updates. Around the same time that was available, it was starting to release physically in stores, so you could go out and buy a 3DS copy, a Wii U copy, a Vita copy, whatever. And it was always like $20-25. It was super affordable. And so
yeah, Travis was real into it, and I didn't understand anything about Shovel Knight until he was going on about it.
Really 8-bit inspired in that kind of era. It's got echoes of Mega Man, classic DuckTales on NES. Those are the two main, like, inspiration pools. But the thing about this game is, so there are multiple playthrough options and the 4 main campaigns, and this is even like, you want to break it down further, there's like 8 different ways to play this game. But there's a Shovel Knight campaign that's the main story, that's the adventure as it was created and initially. You get Plague Knight, who's this like kind of bouncy, floaty, uses explosions to propel himself in various ways. Like, he's a really interesting character movement wise.
So he's like the Bakugo of
Shovel
Knight.
Yes, very similar actually. So very similar to Bakugo. And the thing is you're playing as Shovel Knight's enemies. Like, you fight Plague Knight and Spectre Knight and King Knight. And so those are the other 3 main campaigns you can play. Spectre Knight, which has like this cool thing where he's got a scythe, and if he's close to an object, he can either slash upwards or downwards. And so depending on where he is in location to that object, you can like zip up a particular direction. And each of these characters have various sub-weapons that also change up things. But they just released King Knights, King of Cards, who is not only like a beefier, whiny, like Wario style character with a shoulder rush and like a twirl bounce and stuff, but he's also hilarious, and you get this like weird little card game built into that game. So you're running around playing a game called Joustus. So now we have a game within a game and a card game within a game, and you play that in universe against other characters, and it's crazy. And to top it all off, there's a 5th game called Showdown that's basically a light Super Smash Brothers with all these characters, including the weird, obscure ones. So not only are you getting, like, all this content wrapped into one, but now, after they've released it and have said, okay, this is the final price for Shovel Knight, it's $40. That's it. When it first came out, it was $25, and before that, it was $20. And if you bought the game at any point, you get the rest of the stuff for freezies.
Which was cool, and that's what I did. I think I bought it right after it came out. Yeah. Under Travis's suggestion, and I've had it on PlayStation ever since.
Guess what? You got the other stuff, my friend! Even people that play it on Vita, you got the other stuff, because they're committed. 3DS, it's there. Wii U, totally! Like, that's what I have it on initially, but I ended up buying it on Switch shortly after the Switch came out, because I was, like, thirsty for more games. So I was like, oh, I'll pick up Shovel Knight. I fucking love Shovel Knight. And so now my Switch copy has all the things. And it's cool. Not only that, but, like, there's a co-op mode. There's a mode that swaps genders of characters depending on what you choose. So if you want Shovel Knight to be a lady, you can do it. You want Shield Knight to also be a lady, fucking go for it. You want everybody to be ladies. Awesome. And it changes the gender and like the dialogue. And then there's like cheat codes. There's like hundreds of cheat codes. There's one where you just replace all nouns with the word but. That's there. Shovel Knight is great. It is excellent. It is one of the games that like I haven't sat down to do the actual review yet because I want to like play as much as I can between now and doing so. But this is a 10 out of 10 game. I'm going to spoil it for you now. That's what it's getting. There's so much stuff. It's so well thought out. All the music, at least initially, I think, on the original release, could fit on a legit NES cartridge. Like, it is one of the most authentic, like, just pure-spirited, indie, retro-inspired releases I have ever seen. And I've seen a bunch of them.
Right.
And this one sticks. That's what's cool. Like, it's immediately culturally significant. If I show somebody just an image of Shovel Knight, I would almost guarantee if they have any sort of gaming knowledge within the past 10 years, then they're going to know that character, and that's only going to get better from here, and that's what excites me. I can't wait to see what they're going to do next with Shovel Knight. And we already know we're getting, like, a different take on the universe with Shovel Knight Dig that's being done by another studio in tandem with Yacht Club Games. And then Yacht Club are working on like a Ninja Gaiden sort of like ninja side-scroller game called Cyber Shadow. That should be really cool. And they're also hiring for 3D people. So I think we're going to get a Shovel Knight 64 style of game, which is something that Alec was like super into the idea of whenever I talked to him.
So you strike it as a Shovel Knight 64 style game. It pops in my head like a Mega Man Legends-esque Shovel Knight.
Ooh, that would be good. I don't know. Looking back on it, did Mega Man Legends suck? I think it might have.
I loved it.
I did too. I really liked it, but I think we might be wearing nostalgia glasses on that one because I saw footage of it recently and I'm like, uh-oh.
Oh no, it looked terrible.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the way it controls, because it's got this weird, like, tank control thing to a 3D environment, but you're also, like, running and strafing and stuff. I don't know. There's a better way to do that in a modern light.
Oh, that's right. It did have the weird strafe controls. I forgot about those.
Yeah, what a weird game. I've beat it. I haven't played the second one, but I have beat the first one. God, I have that on PlayStation. We could play that sometime. We revisit it and see for ourselves.
I don't have the game anymore. I used to when I was younger, and then I don't know what happened to it.
It's kind of hard to come by anymore. I think I actually own a physical copy, but I don't think it's in very good condition. So I have a digital copy that I can play on my Vita or something, and that's cool.
I've run into a couple, but they sell for like a couple $100.
Exactly. Get that shit digital.
or
emulate it. It's the easiest way. It's the most bestest way, usually.
So what did you find this year is like, what up to this year, including anything before, has been like the hardest thing for you to play?
The hardest? As far as like straight up challenge? Or just something that kind of sucks?
Challenge, or you just couldn't do anything with it?
God, I have a recent one. I can talk about that, I guess. I really want to like Jedi Fallen Order. I do. I think it's the coolest like idea that we've had so far for a Star Wars experience, and I want to support that. But the performance is so goddamn terrible that I can barely play it. It's like jittery and stuttery, and characters pop in and textures pop in all the fucking time. It's an assault.
Oh no. See, I haven't watched any play on it because I wanted to actually play it at some point.
Yeah, I hope they continue patching performance because, again, I really want to like it, but it's rough.
And I keep hearing good things about it, so I'm guessing people are overlooking those in favor of other things.
There's got to be something that happens at the end that, like, blows people's minds, because my buddy Joe, who was on the podcast a while back for, I think, the Kingdom Hearts episode, he texted me recently. He was like, dude, I finished Jedi Fallen Order, and it was great! And I'm like, I'm glad you're having a good experience. Because I've been through 2 or 3 planets, and I'm just like, man, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. It's the same way I felt about Force Unleashed, actually. It's another game that, like, God, I love the idea of it, but, I don't know.
That's another game that I didn't... Oh, I hit my mic. That's another game I didn't get to play a ton of, but, what little bit I played seemed a little weird.
Yeah, Force Unleashed is interesting. I think it's worth playing through on a weekend if you just want to play on something on easy mode and just, like, kill it. Marshall had it when we were growing up, and we played it backwards and forwards. I don't remember any of it hardly, but I remember really liking the cutscenes in the story. I thought those were actually pretty top-notch.
Yeah, no, the cutscenes were excellent. Story was really good. I didn't quite understand it, and it might just be that I didn't have the whole gist of what was going on.
You kind of got to suspend your disbelief on that one a touch.
Yeah,
you can't.
I'm not necessarily a universe stickler, but I really do just enjoy the Star Wars universe a lot.
I like the not essence. I like the generals of Star Wars as far as like the basic concepts and stuff. I think are really cool. I don't like getting into the nitty gritty because it kind of collapses all of that magic for me. Have you watched that there, Mandalorian? That's a pretty interesting show. I guess we won't get into spoilers, but Mando.
Mando's excellent.
It's pretty good.
Speaking of Mando, me and Lauren were having a conversation while we were watching one of the episodes because, we were like, well, why don't the people understand that there's Jedi? Like, how do these people not know?
Oh.
The Death Star haven't been a big deal in the universe. Like, but apparently some people just don't understand the Force in the universe as well. So it's not just an everybody knows.
Well, like, I guess the only thing that if you're not connected to the Resistance and you don't really give a shit about what the Empire is doing, you may not be in those news circles.
Right. But it gave rise to her being like, so who can use the Force, who cannot, like this sort of thing back and forth. And I was like, well, it falls into a bunch of different places because she was like, so we kept having a lot of people have the confusion like what a Mandalorian is and that it's not a people.
It's more like a life choice.
Yeah. It's definitely like you have accepted a culture that is now you, that accepts everyone as long as you follow the tenets or the creed or whatever.
And I think Jedi and Sith both kind of fall into that category as well, even though there is a definite like biological thing that can determine it.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, anything can be a Mandalorian, but not necessarily a Mandalorian can become something else without giving up Mandalorian stuff.
Right, yeah, they're pretty like focused in on something. Like you if you choose to be a Mandalorian, most likely if you drop out of it, that you're done. That's like you're probably not going to be a Mandalorian again.
Right, but that gives an interesting rise because a Jedi or a Sith can be a Mandalorian.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you could technically be a Mandalorian previously and take up a Jedi mantle, I guess. I don't know.
You could still follow your Jedi tenets and be a Mandalorian under their creed too.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like there'd be a political thing there because, like, the Mandalorians have their thoughts and beliefs, and that may or may not conflict with the Jedi because, let's be real, the Jedi do some weird shit.
They do.
Steal children at the age of 3 and teach them how to be sorcerers.
Yeah, they do some questionable stuff. But it still can happen and is like a weird, not spoiler thing. It definitely has happened in the previous history of Star Wars stuff.
I think what Mandalorian made me realize is how much I like it. To me, Star Wars is most interesting when it's being treated like Shakespeare. When you have things that are like the ideas of things or like archetypes, and then people do different things with that. I've always found that interesting because I like the stories of like even Republic Commando on the old computer and Xbox game. That was a cool little story, and it was all about like clone soldiers. And then you have The Mandalorian, which is all about like one guy just running around being a bounty hunter.
Right. Oh, but the point I was going to make with all of that is the funny thing is like we have this Yoda's race species thing that they don't have any information on.
Yeah.
Is a little force wielding thing that's not necessarily a Jedi or a Sith yet, and it's totally going to learn about the Mandalorian code as it grows. So you're going to have one little force-using son of a Mandalorian crazy thing.
That could be interesting. A weird little Yoda that's like under the creed, but also a force user.
Right? Can you imagine him with the helmet on and like jetpacking?
I like Baby Yoda, personally.
I do too. He's great. He's super cute.
Thank God they decided to go practical effects rather than CG, because that was a discussion, I think. Like, the executives were like, oh, we'll just make it CG. And the dude that really pushed for puppets are like, no, puppets! Puppets are out or something. I don't know. I
like it in most of it. There's some times where it, like, he just looks funny enough that it, like, jars me out of what's going on.
Yeah, there are moments where you're like, yeah, it's a doll. And also, they give him the most stock baby sounds sometimes, and I hate that.
I wish you would make a different noise.
Yeah.
For sure.
If they ever do a Blu-ray release, I hope that gets edited in as like, oh, here's some actual, like, made-up baby sounds. I tell you what else I've been doing here recently, Zach. I've been kind of exploring some 90s nostalgia on Marooners Rock for some projects over there, right? So if you're listening to this and you happen to be interested, we are currently doing a giveaway for Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. We have 5 or 6 copies for the PS4 that we're giving out, and that'll all be available on the link in the chat. If you just go to maroonersrock.com and on the right-hand side in the features column, there's a giveaway for that game. And I played it. I did a review on it, and it's surprisingly better than I figured it would be. So in case you weren't aware, Power Rangers have gotten a recent resurgence here in the past, 5 or 6 years, right? And it's all kind of hinged on these comics that explore a more mature Power Rangers and a more connected, expanded universe. And so you have characters like one of the main antagonists, Lord Drakon, is an alternate version of Tommy that like takes the evil Green Ranger powers and mixes them with the White Ranger powers, and he's like this badass like White Green Ranger hybrid and also a bad guy, but still totally Tommy, but it's crazy. And so this is a fighting game in the style of like Marvel vs. Capcom. So it's a 3v3 kind of fighter where you're switching characters and calling in assists and doing super moves and that type of thing. And it's not nearly as like super movie flashy as some of the other games, and it's way simpler in its execution. Like there's no quarter circles you got to do or anything like that, and most of your moves are just very simple tool sets. And so because of that, it's actually a fun little ass fighter. Now, the takeaways from this is the stages are butt ugly, and some of the visuals don't look super great, and there's not a lot going on in the mode department, but they are adding crossplay here soon. I thought it was already out whenever I started started this review. That's not the case. So there's a patch being added to add crossplay for the PS4. Everybody else is already playing on crossplay. And so I think that's the best chance that you could give this kind of game, because there's like a select few people that are going to play it per platform. So if you get them all together, you have more people to play with. And it works. It's pretty fun. It's not super expensive. You can get all the DLC and the game for $40, or you can just get the game for $20.
Oh, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not bad. Like, it's surprisingly better than I would have thought. What did you ever like the Power Rangers? What's with you and Power Rangers? Tell me.
I love the Power Rangers, especially after I learned that what is oh Lord, I forgot Tommy's real name.
Jason David Frank.
Jason David Frank. Especially after I learned that he was an MMA fighter too. It was very cool.
Yeah, I've met him.
And he does
he's a cool dude.
He goes to cons and stuff still.
Yeah, no, he's cool. Like he'll go to cons and hang out with people and do panels, and he's got a world record there for a little bit for jumping out of planes and seeing how many boards you can karate chop. He's a badass dude.
He is. He's I don't know. But yeah, that's honestly, I was into Power Rangers for a while, and then I didn't really care because it just got muddy and weird and repetitive.
Yeah.
So I don't really know a whole lot of the newer ones, but I like the universe of it. And we just recently watched like the Toys That Made Us episode.
Oh,
on the Power
yeah.
Rangers, and
That's,
it was really cool.
Mm-hmm. I pointed to that information actually for the review, because they talk about how it was like one of the most successful franchises and it changed the world, and it's just really interesting.
Definitely did. And it was just a simple concept.
Yeah, well, some dude was watching Tokusatsu, and he's like, I bet you I can make that into an American TV show. And they're like, you're dumb. And then 10 years later, he did it, and he's like, here it is. And then people flip their shit.
Yeah. And they continue to flip their shit.
Yeah,
and sell a fucking lot of toys.
It's still popular. And what's crazy is the certain seasons are still popular. Like the Mighty Morphin series, even the Zeo series has some popularity. In my opinion, I really liked Lost Galaxy, even though I don't remember hardly anything about it. That's when the like canonical story kind of ended, as far as the like American all-connected universe type of thing, right? So they went on season to season, and the story still kind of kept going. Like Lost Galaxy was the end of that, and that's where I kind of lost interest. But like nowadays, you got this Battle for the Grid comic book too that is exploring some of those like original characters, and you know, what are they into now? What sort of cool things can we toss them into? And I think the Power Rangers fandom right now is, even for people like me who are older and like still have a lot of memories about Power Rangers and still want like a slightly more mature angle for it for people like us, it's a great time to be a fan, because that comic is supposedly great, and there's a lot of things coming out of that comic.
Really?
Yeah, like this game, you have a mobile game that's done by the same people that's not near as good, but it's also got some cool characters in it. Again, the comics are great. There's a board game, I think, out there that's supposed to be really good. There's the fan productions by Rocket Jump on YouTube. It's Alex from the future. It wasn't Rocket Jump on YouTube. It was actually Bat in the Sun. Bat in the Sun has a lot of different Green Ranger versus Ryu, White Ranger versus Scorpion. There's a lot of really cool like miniature fan films that they do, including the upcoming, or at least the one that they've been pushing there recently, called Legend of the White Dragon. So check out Bat in the Sun on YouTube and online. Back to the episode. Future Alex away. So they brought in Jason David Frank to play some of these characters, and they like made these sick ass Ranger suits and stuff. Some of these designs might be based on their work, actually, now that I think about it. They're very similar. So if you ever want a sweet evening of just like watching Ryu Hayabusa kick the shit out of Tommy the Green Ranger, check out Rocket Jump stuff. They've got some really cool fan things. And I think JDF is working on his own film too that's like kind of Power Rangers, but totally not, so they can escape copyright.
That's
like
smart.
White Dragon something or other. I don't know. It's got a lot of the old actors. It looks really cool. And also very budget.
So outside of that, what's your like game of the year?
Oh gosh. Let me talk about some ones that are like super notable. Cause I think right now my choice for absolute like pure joy and quality is Resident Evil 2 Remake. But I was very impressed with Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. That game just turned around how I feel about those characters. And it's like super good. It feels like Donkey Kong Country. We had that recent interview with Gavin, which was awesome. And that's just a really, really solid 2D platformer. I was also super impressed with Trover Saves the Universe on PlayStation VR. That's the best VR game I've played so far.
Really?
And that's because it's not super complicated. Like, it's a VR game, but it is very much in the sense of a very simple adventure kind of hack and slashy sort of thing. That's a sleeper. Even if you don't like Rick and Morty style humor, which this game is 100% that, like, definitely give it a shot if you're into VR at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I did not
quality.
expect it to be a hack and slash.
Yeah, it's kind of like a super simple, like Zelda almost, but without any of the like major puzzles.
Okay.
It's cool. I recommend checking it out. I've got a review on Maruna's Rock. I think I gave it a 10. Like, I really liked it. The other surprise was Plague Tale Innocence, the game about the rats. It's that one. So
The rat game.
Yeah, that one's done by, I believe, a French developer. And like I saw the tech demos that they were creating with the rat swarms a long time ago. And they finally came out. And I was like, oh, cool. I like the idea of a rat storm. I'm terrified by it, but sure, I'll play. And I played it and I gave it like a 9. Like, it's really solid. It's very straightforward and with its stealth mechanics and some of the action based sort of things. It feels like Hellblade without that combat. So you're like going through an environment in third person and you have these different things and it's real like visceral and it's good. It's like real good. Can't wait for whatever sequel or whatever.
The Innocence or whatever?
A Plague Tale Innocence, yes.
Gotcha. Now, is that out or coming out?
No, it's out. It's been out since like July or something.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought A Plague Tale and then Innocence was like a DLC or something.
No, that's the subtitle. So I assume whatever we get next is a Plague Tale something.
Plague Tale, Sin. Yeah, no. This year's been really, really good for games lately.
I've played some stinkers, but I have played some very good titles.
Yeah, there's been a lot of hype, especially the last like couple months, with Borderlands 3. Oh god, the Jedi Fallen Order was a huge hyped thing.
People love that.
Right, and we're about to walk into like the weird March gaming season.
Oh my god, March is gonna be crazy.
Right? So speaking of March being crazy and, like Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake coming out. On the note of Final Fantasy VII, I'd share a concern with somebody I had commented to on Twitter earlier today.
Yeah?
We're really getting close to the remake coming out, and there's still nothing on Red 13.
Oh, I saw that tweet. I don't necessarily care.
I loved Red, though.
He's fine.
Excellent.
He's cool because he's a dog thing. He's cool. Like, don't get me wrong. I like him as a character. But
He's the Rocket Raccoon of the Final Fantasy VII universe.
I don't know. I'd give that to Kate Sith, if anything. Kate Sith,
Well,
I can't wait to see that monstrosity.
Kate Sith
like,
is just a cat riding a robot.
like a weird, gross robot with fat rolls.
Okay. So can you imagine, because we both love Final Fantasy IX, seeing Quina remade?
Yeah, I'd love it. I want that so bad. But do you know what I want more than that? A Legend of Dragoon remake. Oh, I want that so much. I have found a small group of people on Twitter that are also in the mindset of me that anytime somebody's like, oh, a company will post a whatever and they're saying, oh, what game should we make next? Even if they have no way they would do it, I'd be like, Legend of Dragoon. And so there's like 7 or 8 people that are like echo chambering me and I love it.
That's all you got to do is just get more and more people on that bus.
There's some good fan art that they've been sharing. I want it. I need to play it on the channel in some capacity or do like a similar study like I did with Metal Gear Solid. I love that game, but the last time I visited it, I was like, story's kind of cliche. Gameplay's not great. It's still really cool though. Like if I were to rate it subjectively, it'd get like a 6, maybe a 7, right? But me as a person, I love this game to death, so it gets like a 9.
All right. And so what are you looking forward to now with the year winding down?
Ooh, before March?
Before March.
Because March, it's definitely Final Fantasy. There's some games that I really want to spend more time with. I want to finish a Medieval. I'm getting ready to jump into System Shock 2 for a podcast guest appearance, which hopefully you'll get to join.
I really hope so too, and I hope I also get to play System Shock before that happens.
Yeah, System Shock 2. That's the one we're going to really, dissect.
I need to play them both.
I bought a bunch of stuff on Switch, too, that I need to play. I got Devil May Cry 5. I want to sit down and play that. Wargroove, I played the first match, and I was like, yep, this is the type of game I will like. And I haven't touched it. So I really want to go through some Wargroove for some strategy RPGs. There's some stuff that I want to touch before we get to our, okay, here's our end of the year, best of 2019 accolades, so to speak. But that's kind of where I'm sitting with that. I want to finish Fallen Order before the end of the year. I need to do that soon. I just realized it's the 30th.
It's true. You've got a whole like 12 hours.
But what were
Or
your
28
surprises
hours.
of this year, though?
Oh, man.
Because you've played a lot of games that are perpetual. Like me and you've played a lot of Monster Hunter. You've done some Fortnite. But have you played anything that you're like, wow, this is really like quality?
Honestly, I was really impressed with like perpetual moving games stuff in that area with Apex coming out. I think that company did really well joining
Respawn.
into the battle royale market. Yeah, Respawn. The game looks nice. It feels super fluid.
Yeah.
Like regardless of like the nitty-gritty of like whether you agree with like a lot of the fighting that happens and like, you know, who's doing what and how good it is, like yada yada yada, whatever. The game's beautiful, feels great, moves well. They're still going in a market that's dominated by Fortnite.
Yeah. Apex really surprised me because when it comes to multiplayer shooters, I just kind of like am interested in the ideas of it or watch high level people play. I don't really like playing them myself because I'm not great at them. But I like Apex. I think it's fun. It's a great like weekend sort of game. And out of the battle royales, it's my favorite.
Yeah, I really like it. I need to play some more of it. I actually just updated pretty much everything, caught back up on the PC so I can start doing more PC gaming properly. Yeah, no, I think overall, I think the biggest surprise for me this year has been Respawn's games as a company, especially since they took the mantle up to do Fallen Order, correct?
Yeah, that was them. They kind of picked up the pieces because EA has brought a lot of studios in and out working on a like single player Star Wars. They've pivoted it. They've like dismantled it. They made it into a multiplayer. They released Battlefront. Like they've been really messy with that particular section of like their game design people, right? And so the fact that they like actually got something out the door and it's pretty good and people like it, that's kind of impressive, especially when you've got Big Daddy EA looming over your shoulder.
Right? I mean, everybody's fear is that it's just a matter of time before EA eats Respawn.
Oh, they'll jettison them eventually. But those people will carry on based on their resumes, hopefully.
Yeah, just based on the work that they've done with those things, I mean, it'll be great. And the fact that they actually got to release a single-player Star Wars game for the first time in, like, 10 years?
Something like that. Yeah, it's been a bit.
And it's hit well.
People like it.
Yeah.
People want that kind of thing. Who'd have thought?
Right? Not EA, because they can't make money.
Nope. Do you know what we need to do, actually, now that I'm, like, looking through my Steam library and just kind of flicking through the page here? Me and you need to sit down and play Ashen. We have it. It's something that we want to do because co-op Souls-like is something me and you've always really enjoyed, but it's always been kind of finicky, right? So hopefully Ashen is going to be one where we can just sit down, play, no worries about like, oh, I have to have a particular resource or something.
Correct. Yeah. Let's knock that out. That should be some of our like early 2020.
Yeah. And that's something that we will eventually have in review. It's something that we'll eventually maybe do a podcast discussion on. Either way, keep an eye on this channel because there might be some sort of Ashen streams happening eventually.
Right. Now that we know how to restream, we can hit a couple of places so you can go to your favorite one that you like to use the most and watch us there.
Yeah. Here's a game that's a indie that I've been interested in for a while now, but I haven't got to play it. I hear it's good, but I bought it finally. So step one. Lost in Vivo is a Silent Hill type of like indie horror game, and it's supposed to be scary as shit, and I'm super excited. And I bought Deus Ex. Yeah. Damn it, Dave. God, I bought it.
So now we can play, and he can't yell at us anymore.
Yeah, I bought the whole freaking package. They were all available. So I got the whole fucking series. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Maybe. All right. So there's some like, I have been hounded by my roommate Eli and, you know, one of my best friends who I've known most of my life. He's like, dude, you got to play Coder. You're loving Star Wars right now. Sit down and play Knights of the Old Republic. It's a great game. And I told him, sure, after System Shock. So maybe after System Shock, I will sit down and play Knights of the Old Republic. And that'll be another one that I like do a whole study on and do a stream or something, you know.
Yeah, the story for Knights of the Old Republic is wonderful.
That's what I hear. I hear it's good stuff. I've always like heard it listed as some of the best Star Wars games, period. Do you know what I hope you get to play sometime soon? And it wouldn't really bother me that much if you didn't, because I guess we could always like invite somebody else on the podcast to talk with us. Death Stranding. I played it. I beat it.
How long did it take you?
40, 45, 50 hours, give or take. About a couple weeks of like playing most evenings.
Okay.
Several hours at a time.
Not bad.
You could spend longer. You could spend slightly shorter. I mean, I stayed to the critical path. 90% of the time. But if you wanted to run around and like max out your rankings to every city, you could easily spend 150, 200 hours in it.
I have no doubt.
I don't necessarily recommend doing that because I think that's not the best way to play this game, but you could.
No, I'm excited. I definitely want to get Death Stranding. That's on my early list of things to pick up.
Yeah. Hopefully me and you can sit down and have that discussion sometime soon. If not, I know a guy
True.
who we're going to go hang out in his neck of the woods. So maybe if all else fails, we'll bring him to ours.
Yeah, let's do it.
So that could work.
Yeah, I'm going to use this wall that's not overly shown over here to start getting figures set up.
Ooh.
And I'm looking for, the night guy.
Oh, Artorias?
Artorias maybe too, but the Death Stranding night guy, the whole symbol for the Kojima studio.
Yes, I want that statue. It's so cool. I just ordered a bunch of very simple Gunpla models because I missed making Gundams, specifically to put them on my desk at work. I have one desk ornament, and it's a tiny, like, little Final Fantasy IX thing, but I want robots, damn it. Everybody else has cool things on top of their desk. I want people to walk next to my desk and be like, wow, that guy's a fucking geek. I want him to know immediately.
Yep,
I like
just
robots.
Need to get you an anime poster up there too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I have a Fallout poster that a buddy of mine brought for me. So there's like a single Fallout poster and like a calendar and a bunch of sticky notes. My desk is not super interesting right now.
No, yeah, my everything's pretty blank.
I was talking to my wife about this. I freaking love robots, dinosaurs, and monsters and such. And you can tell some of my favorite games based on this, right? Like my favorite games are Monster Hunter, Final Fantasy, Bloodborne. You know, I love Neon Genesis Evangelion and G Gundam and all that type of stuff. And I've like thought it in my head. I boiled a lot of things down, and I'm like, wait a minute, I just like monsters and robots, huh?
Monsters and robots, yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever like Digimon? I played a lot of Digimon in the past few weeks.
I did. I loved Digimon, and I loved I loved a series called Monster Rancher.
I remember Monster Rancher. I didn't play it, but I knew about it.
The game was really fun, and it was really interesting because it had you open your PlayStation in the middle of playing and put in different discs to summon different monsters.
Yeah, I had a buddy who had it, and he's like, dude, can I borrow your PlayStation collection? I want to get some sweet monsters. And we were like, oh, sweet. Here's Final Fantasy VIII. Here's 4 discs.
Right? Well, no, because it worked with everything. CDs, DVDs, PlayStation games.
Yeah. Can you imagine playing that now? I've always thought that if somebody were to take, like, the idea of scanners back in the day, where you, like, scan a typical barcode and get stuff out of it, if somebody would put that as an app on phones, it'd be great.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a much easier system for it now. But,
yeah, nowadays it would actually work. I love Digimon, though. I always thought that the plots and stuff were, like, actually well thought out. The characters were fun, and the, like, monster design was always really cool. And even today, I think those shows are great.
Did you watch Monster Hunter Try?
Digimon Try? I've seen...
Digimon Try, yeah, sorry.
So each episode's like an hour and a half long, right? I've seen 2 or 3 of those. I haven't seen all of them. But I'm watching, like, a similar type of special for Gundam right now. And so once I'm done with Gundam, maybe I'll go into that Digimon series and like actually sit down and watch it meaningfully. I like it though. It's really cool. They're doing another one. Yeah. They're doing one where they're like college kids or something. And it's supposedly the last time we'll see Tai. But I've been playing Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, which is one of the most addictive RPG combat systems with just the worst story. It's like 90% bad like visual novel. But, like, the rest of it's this really excellent monster-raising RPG that's just really fun.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, I just did a review for it, like, yesterday. I got a 6. And because of that RPG system.
Yeah, I keep seeing it pop up everywhere, but I've never actually picked it up.
I got it originally on the Vita because I just wanted something RPG-like to play. And that's actually the game that I played on the drive up here to Juneau, was that Vita copy of Cyber Sleuth. And it was great because, like, me and Eli would go back and forth. We had something to talk about while we were doing it. And, like, if we stopped at a hotel, rather than, like, be kind of stressed out about this move, I would spend some time playing Digimon. Just mindlessly grinding, getting those megas.
Hell yeah.
And it's fun. If you look at how many hours I've spent on the Switch, on my file, it says like 200, but that's a lie. If you keep the Switch in sleep mode, it continuously counts, apparently.
No.
But it's fun. I've put a lot more time than I intended to. It's just a really addictive little RPG.
All right, man. Well, this is going to be where I have to go to bed.
Yeah, it is late for you. So anybody who's still hanging out, thank you for hanging out with us. It's been a really fun year. We'll have accolades sometime in the middle of January, unless we get super caught up with all these interviews that we have scheduled. That'll be really fun. I can't wait to show those off.
Yeah, we have some exciting stuff coming up, and I have like a backlog of things that I have to get to.
Yes.
And actually put into the website from where I started getting the house in the middle of it all.
Yeah. Well, we'll get you straightened out. It'll work. And then we gotta figure out what we're doing for some of the monetization options to actually like get meaningful and worthwhile ad content that'll help support us. So Forever Classic Games is something that has really taken off this year, and I just want to put more energy into it. That's all I want to do. I want to make it bigger and better and have cooler things and have cooler stories and just talk to more people and have it be more interesting. That's my goal.
We will, and it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Everybody have a good night.
As always, stay cool.